Shortly after the disastrous invasion of Iraq in 2003, I spoke to a friend from Baghdad. Unlike me, he wasn't opposed to the war initially, but as the conflict dragged on, his attitude began to shift. I asked him what had changed since Saddam's regime had been overthrown. He listed many things, some better, some worse. One comment stood out to me. Before the war, we were all Iraqi. Now we are Sunni and Shia. This is a perfect example of identitarianism or identity politics. It's the idea that one should think and engage politically as a member of an identity group rather than as a citizen of a nation. It replaces civic identity with ethnic or religious identity, changing how individuals perceive society. Identitarians promote their group's interests, seeking special status. This form of activism is divisive and harmful to the body politic, but it's on the rise and poised to impact political discourse and social dynamics in Western democracies. Identitarianism surfaces when people feel threatened by rapid change. This affects both native and immigrant populations. They seek comfort and security in what's familiar. Rapid upheaval encourages tribalism, leading to polarization. Individuals adopt zero-sum thinking, assuming that power and resources for other groups mean less for their own. This results in stronger in-group solidarity and hostility towards outgroups. At the heart of identitarian thought is the notion that one's identity group is under attack and treated unfairly. This leads to a push for greater power for that group, often resulting in vitriol directed at perceived oppressors. Identity-based activism from one group usually encourages other groups to think similarly. Identitarianism begets identitarianism. This leads to a fractured society where various tribes compete for power and resources. In a democracy, this means identity groups subvert the process to commandeer it for their purposes. They vote for politicians who pander to their worldview and campaign on single issues that reinforce their prejudices. Political leaders inclined towards authoritarianism exploit these fears, offering simplistic solutions that allow them to seize power. Authoritarianism is also bad news for free speech. In a society where identity groups adopt a victimhood mindset, speech deemed threatening is seen as violence, stifling critical dialogue. A society overtaken by identitarianism can no longer act in its best interests. Energy that should be used for progress and growth is directed towards managing the tensions of competing identity groups. Without a collective sense of purpose, a nation becomes a collection of tribes racing to the bottom. England recently experienced violence as criminal incidents were exploited by identitarians. This isn't unique to England. The US, Sweden, and France have seen similar identity-based violence. Collectively, this suggests a move towards greater identitarianism as Western economies stagnate and social cohesion deteriorates. 21 years after the invasion of Iraq, the country is still plagued by identity-based politics, leading to violence, terrorism, social decay, and decline. The aftermath of regime collapse was terribly mismanaged, resulting in ongoing chaos. Let's hope we can reverse the drift towards identitarianism in the West today, because history is full of examples of how that story ends.